Welcome to the Silverstone Technology Cluster's Ask the Expert podcast. I'm Jeannie, your host. The mission of the STC is to support advanced engineering, electronics and software businesses, and we're always keen to share industry knowledge and insights. In each podcast episode, we sit down with seasoned professionals and industry leaders to uncover valuable knowledge, share real-world experiences, and explore smart strategies for navigating the challenges of modern business in advanced engineering. Hi, and today I'm joined by Tom Diamond from TC Group. Thanks for joining me today.
Pleasure. Nice to be here.
Excellent. Let's just start by getting to know you a little bit. Can you tell me a bit about yourself, how you got to your current role at TC Group, and a bit about your team over there?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm head of property services at TC Group. My team consists of about 12 people at the minute. And we're kind of like a small chart surveying business, really, within our wider business. So we do all the sort of stuff that our clients would normally have to go externally for support on property matters.
Okay. And what makes you unique there at TC Group?
I suppose one of the things that I think certainly makes us unique compared to other chart surveying firms that our clients could use is that we are part of a wider accountancy and advisory business, which is unusual in itself. And the vast majority of the work we do is for tenants and occupiers. So we tend not to do a huge amount of work with developers and landlords. So we're sort of very much fighting the good fight for tenants and occupiers of buildings.
Okay, so everyone might have caught on that you're here today to talk to me about property.
Good.
So what is new in property that our listeners and our viewers need to know about?
So I think good timing at the minute really is to do with business rates. So as of a couple of weeks ago, the rating list for 2026 was issued. So what that means is everyone that occupies a commercial property is going to have a new rateable value on their property. And that rateable value is going to drive the business rates bill from April 26 going forward. So anyone can see that if they go onto the VOA portal online, they can see what the new rateable value is, and those new rates bills will start dropping on their desks in probably early in the new year. And this is a really good time for people to have a good look at what their business rates bills are, and if they want some help looking at whether they're paying the right amount or if there's any reliefs available, then that's a service that my team offer.
Okay, so this is the time to get ahead of it, really. And
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for any of our listeners or our viewers, in respect to their commercial properties, what are some top tips that you would give them?
Top tips, I think one is probably try and be proactive. We often get pulled in to help clients who have got an issue that they haven't sort of foreseen coming down the track or they haven't been preparing for. Examples would be if you've got a expiry of your lease coming up in the next couple of years. Sometimes, you might sort of trundle along running your business and all of a sudden you're at the end of the lease and you might then be out of options of what you do. So when we're working with our clients, we always try and recommend that you're proactive. So we sort of look at lease expiry dates in particular, sort of 18 to 24 months out, have a discussion with the client. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay and renew here? Do you need a bigger site? Do you need a smaller site? And then you've got some time to explore all the options before you're sort of left over a barrel at the end of the lease, where some of those options might not be open to you, and landlords can potentially exploit that situation. So
really thinking ahead, that's quite a long time to be thinking ahead, and I'm sure that a lot of people aren't. It's not on their radar until they're sort of 6 months out, and then it's panic stations.
Absolutely, and we often get called in at that sort of last minute. It's like, crikey, what do we do now? The landlord said we've got 2 weeks to make a decision, otherwise we're out, or you have to sign up to these terms, and actually, if you're looking at things a lot further down the track ahead of time, you've got a chance to explore those things and probably put yourself in a much stronger negotiating position when it comes to those lease events. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you are there last minute and you don't have other options, unfortunately, you've usually got to take what's in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That and again, we're often pulled in at that sort of moment, and sometimes we don't have those options then available to help the client. But we can obviously do what we can to try and minimise the damage. But sometimes it's often too late to be able to do the things that actually the business needs to do with that property.
So top tip 1, be proactive and get in front of it.
Yep.
What's your next one, number 2?
Well, I think just looking at property as an element that you can influence in terms of your business. I think for most businesses, property costs probably be the second or third largest cost of any business, but very rarely gets the sort of attention it deserves compared to looking at people or other strategies. A lot of businesses will think, well, look, I'll pay my rent and I'll pay my business rates and that's fixed. But actually, there's a lot of things you can consider and options to explore to try and reduce those costs and keep them under control. And that's something that me and my team do a lot of work with our clients on.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting because, like you said, it's a huge cost. It doesn't get a lot of attention. Okay, so have you got another top tip for me?
Yeah, I'll give you another one. So I think when you're looking at your lease, if you're leasing a property, I think it's important to consider all the elements of that lease. Often, when you're taking on a new lease, you might be looking at, well, how long am I going to take the lease for, and what rent am I paying, and kind of leave it at that. And whilst the key commercial terms are clearly the most important factors, there's at least half a dozen other key elements of that lease that you should be thinking about from an occupier perspective. And I'll talk you through a couple of them. So, I mean, first up, how long do you want the lease to be? Have you got a 10-year contract with your key client that means you're going to be there for 10 years, in which case you can commit to a long term? Or actually, have you got the potential for those contracts to be broken mid-term, and perhaps you want to build in some flexibility into your lease, maybe break options and things like that. Condition and repair of the building is often a one that's overlooked. So the sort of default position in UK commercial property is that when you sign up to a lease, you sign up on what's called a full repairing and insuring basis, which means the tenant's basically responsible for anything to do with the building, maintaining it, keeping it in order, repairing it at the end of the lease. But if you're taking a property on and it's not in good condition, have a proper look at that first. Don't commit to a lease on that basis unless you've explored with the landlord. Can we do a package of works to repair the roof, or can we limit our liability by putting a schedule of condition in place so we know that when we hand it back, we don't have to hand it back in any better condition. So that's an important one. Rent reviews is often a one that's overlooked as well. Traditionally, if you take a 10, 15-year lease, you might have a rent review every 5 years, and traditionally they're on a what's called an open market basis. So when you get to the rent review date, you're looking at what the market value for that property is on that rent review date down the line. And depending on market factors, I mean, certainly with industrial property where market rents have increased, anywhere between sort of 5 and 15% year on year over the last decade, you can see some really huge rent increases when you get to those reviews. And their options are there to maybe put caps on those or link them to CPI or RPI indexes, all those sort of things you want to be thinking about before you're signing up.
Okay, that's really interesting. And from a perspective looking at TC Group on the wider scale, you said that the unique part of your team is that you are basically something that people would usually go external for, but they can do that internally at TC Group. How do you work in with the other departments at TC Group to really give clients a sort of full service?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's one sometimes it's difficult to articulate. But a really good example will be where we have a specialist team of chartered surveyors working with tax experts to unlock tax reliefs on property. So elements such as capital allowances and land remediation relief, for example, they're corporation tax reliefs that typically chartered surveyors don't get too involved with, but you need to really blend the practical knowledge of the chartered surveyor with the tax expert to maximise those reliefs and tax breaks. So that's something that's quite unique for us. And one of the things that I certainly think is unique and a great position from our service offering is that we understand the influence of a property decision on the wider business. So, if we take a long-term lease, how does that impact how that lease is accounted for in the accounts, and understanding a bit more about the client and their contracts and their business to make sure that the property strategy matches that.
So if we've got people listening or watching that are looking at sort of renewing their lease, they're looking at taking out a new lease, and they are at the point where maybe it is a bit close and maybe they have left it a bit late, what can you kind of do in that instance to kind of negate the effect of that a little bit?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's never too late to get the experts in, right? So even in those scenarios, we can still pick up negotiations with landlords, and often just by having an expert on the side of the tenant, it gives the landlord a sort of slightly different thought process on how they're going to deal with that. If they think they've got the tenant over a barrel and they're going to sign up to whatever they put in front of them, if all of a sudden they put an expert in front of them on their behalf, then it just changes their position. So there's always a chance to improve anything that's been tabled by your landlord on leases.
So even if you feel like you've lost control of it a little bit, it's never too late to
we can still
take
try
it
and put it back. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool, absolutely. And I mean, if anyone's listening and they want to get in touch with you guys, what's the process? Do they just
reach out to me? So I think we're working obviously closely with the cluster, and you probably see our name all over the website and stuff like that. So yeah, you can reach out to any of the TC representatives. I'm sure my details will be on there. Email me, call me anytime. Happy to have a sort of no obligation, no fee chat with anyone about any property matters and see how we can add some value.
Okay, excellent. And I mean, what key takeaway would you want people to take from this, really?
I suppose it's the think about your property more than you maybe do at the minute. So, as I say, it's one of your biggest costs in your business. But have you given it any thought? When was the last time you reviewed your business rates? Are you thinking about your key lease event dates, your rent review dates, your expiry dates, and do you have a plan for it that you can put in place? And obviously, business rates being a key one at the minute, you're going to get a new bill. If you're in an industrial unit, it's likely to be 20, 30, 40% higher than it was last year. So now's the time to have a proper look at it, and my team and I can help with that.
Are there any reliefs available around the business rates?
There are. So there's a whole change of regime going into next year, specifically around certain sectors. But there's going to be reliefs that are available. Transitional relief is one. So if your bill has gone up 30, 40%, the transitional relief will taper that over the next few years. Okay. But some of those calculations are going to be pretty complicated, and it's definitely worth having a good look at your bill when it lands, or getting my team or someone like me to have a proper look at it and make sure that's been applied correctly. And there's other reliefs as well, such as empty rates relief. So if your property's empty for a period of time, you can claim a period of relief from the rates bill. If there's any material change of circumstances happening on your industrial estate, or road closures and impact from some infrastructure projects, you can get sort of temporary relief and reductions. So there's always something that's potentially there that's worth having a proper look at.
Okay, so just really get all the knowledge and
indeed
put yourself in the strongest position possible.
Yeah.
Excellent. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Tom?
No, I mean, it's as I say, we're here to support our clients and tenants out there. We're always fighting the good fight for tenants. So we'd love to hear from some of the listeners and see if we can help them.
Yeah, I think you've actually wrapped it up really nicely there. It was quick. It was really hard hitting, and I think that actually people can go away from this with the exact knowledge that they need, and they know where to come for help.
Good.
So thank you for joining me.
Pleasure.
It's been fantastic.
Thanks.
Take care. That's it for this episode of Ask the Expert. Thank you so much for listening or watching. We hope you picked up some useful insights and inspiration along the way. If you enjoyed the conversation, please give us a like, share or rating on the platform you're using. Please follow Silverstone Technology Cluster on LinkedIn and subscribe to the STC YouTube channel or our podcast on Spotify or Apple, so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, a particular topic or a guest you'd love to hear from, please drop me an email to jeannie@silverstonetechnologycluster.com. Bye for now.